In the name of the Creator, Redeemer and Sanctifier. Amen. Please be seated. The young couple invited their aged pastor for Sunday dinner. While they were there, while they were in the kitchen preparing the meal, the minister was in the lounge room with the son, and he asked the son, "What are we having for dinner?" "Goat," the little boy replied. "Goat?" replied the startled pastor. "You sure about that?" "Yes," said the boy. "On the drive back from church, I heard Mum say to Dad, 'Remember, we're having the old goat for dinner tonight.'" I said to him at 7:30, I'm sure no one would say that about me here. And one of them responded with, "Well, you're not old." Just to make me feel good. All right, I have a confession to make. I am the foolish rich man in today's parable. I have no barns and I have no crops. I am not a farmer. I'm not even a gardener. And yet I'm the foolish rich man. I have no desire to amass vast quantities of wealth, nor do I have a desire to retire early. I love my work, I love leading a church, and I have no desire to hang up my vestments, or whatever it is clergy hang up when they finish. I have no desire to do any of that. As an aside, I'll also say I don't want to be one of these priests that, is doing locums into their 90s and, the ones that pass out at the altar and then you drag them out of the church in a body bag. I have no desire to be that clergy either. I will retire. I'm just not even close to it yet. Yet despite not having any of those desires, I am still the rich, foolish man. Why am I the rich, foolish man? To answer that, I think we need to look at what it is Jesus is saying about this fictional character. It's a made-up parable. It's a story Jesus made up to illustrate a point. And yet the behaviour of this rich, foolish man in the parable, it seems so obvious on the surface that we could probably name someone, either on the world stage or within our own life, that is this man. But I think if we get past that surface of wealth and we delve a little deeper into the parable, we get a lot more out of it. What exactly is this man in trouble for? Is he in trouble for being rich? No. There is no suggestion in the parable or from Jesus that he's in trouble simply for being rich. There's no judgment. He's not in trouble. There's no suggestion that he's considered foolish for being rich or being wealthy. All we are told is the land of the rich man produced abundantly. Is he in trouble yet in the parable? No. He's not in trouble for being rich, nor is he in trouble for his land producing abundantly. I would imagine, as I said, I'm not a farmer, I have a hunch. I have a hunch that in farming communities, if your land regularly produces abundantly, then you're probably going to be the wealthy farmer in town. Two farms side by side, one with good soil, one with poor. Which one's going to be wealthy? The one with the good soil. So he's not in trouble for being wealthy. He's not in trouble for having land that produces abundantly. So he's going to store his abundant crops. Is he in trouble for that? No, I don't think so. He already has barns. What are barns for other than to store excess produce? And imagine if he's wheat, he grows wheat, which is a safe bet. If that's his crop, wheat generally doesn't produce more than one crop a year. I'm so much not a farmer, I looked that up. So wheat doesn't produce more than one crop a year, and if you want bread outside of the time of the harvest, we need to store wheat. So no, I don't think he's in trouble for that. Maybe he's in trouble for not sharing his abundance. Well, I don't think so. There's nothing here to suggest that he has no concern for anyone else. In this parable, if that was the point Jesus was trying to make, I'd imagine Jesus would have made that more clear, that the problem is he was unwilling to share. I've got to say I'm glad that he's not in trouble for any of those things. You and I live in one of the wealthiest countries on earth. That makes us very wealthy people. I once read something that said, if you have a tap, 2 meals a day, and a primary school education, you are in the top 20% of wealthy people on this earth. Think about that. A tap, a primary school education, and 2 meals a day. And you're in the top 20% of wealthy people on earth. Brings you up short, doesn't it? So I'm glad he's not in trouble for being wealthy. I have superannuation, as I'm sure many of you do. We've saved for the future, haven't we? So I'm glad that saving for the future isn't the issue either. I also think the issue is not that he wants to tear down his barns. I don't think there's any evidence that it's some sort of ecological parable about the wastefulness of tearing down perfectly good barns to build bigger ones. I mean, I think there's a good lesson in that. Does anyone here know the average age of a sports stadium? 20 years. 20 years and they tear it down to build a new one. Now that's wasteful. Perfectly good stadium, tear it down, billions of dollars to build new ones. But I think there's a good lesson for us to look at in that. But that's not the point Jesus is making here at all. I think the point that Jesus is making about this man is not all of those things I've already mentioned, but the last 6 words of the reading. But he was not rich toward God. Listen again to the words this rich, foolish man says to himself. What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store my grain and my goods. A lot of the use of the word I, my, and mine in that, isn't it? I have no place to store my crops. I will do this. I will pull down my barns, and there I will store my grains and my goods. I. Anyone seen Finding Nemo? The seagulls? What noise do the seagulls make? Mine. I love that scene. I watched it yesterday in preparation for today. Every seagull squawk sounds like mine. I couldn't help but think of it. Mine, my wealth, my barns, my good, my grains, my comfort. This guy is that seagull. And then look at the end of his speech. He prays. And who does he pray to? I will say to my soul, soul, you have ample goods laid up for years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry. I've got a question for you. What or who is the centre of this man's universe? Me, my, mine, and I, himself. When his life is over, what will he find? His things will bring comfort to others. And where will God be in his life? He is not rich toward God. And I suggest God will be exactly where God has been the whole way through his life. And if we think about it, that's the point of this parable. What kicked off this parable? But someone asking Jesus, tell my brother to give me my inheritance. Mine again. Well, here's where I discover that I'm the rich, foolish man. I don't have exorbitant wealth. I don't have big barns longing for bigger ones. I don't have any of that. The Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse recommended a whole bunch of things to government, to organisations and churches as to what we should be doing. And one of the recommendations they gave to the churches were that all clergy should have a professional supervisor. A professional supervisor is someone trained that you sit with. In the case of us, we've taken that recommendation up, and I'm required to meet with a professional supervisor 6 times a year. They don't dictate how often, just 6 times a year. And that person will ask me questions, insightful questions about my practice as a priest, how life is going for me. They're not a therapist, but someone who asks pointed questions that helps me to reflect on what I've done. I went to see my professional supervisor last Tuesday. It's the first time I've seen them since the flood. And I told her, so we had a lot to talk about. We talked about the flood, what I did during that time as a minister, how I performed, how I thought it went, what I could have done better, all of those questions. And it was a good discussion and something I find really valuable, talking to a supervisor. And then she asked a question, a simple question, that really stung and brought me up short. I was saying to her that one of my strengths that I believe is that when the full press of busyness is on, I can make a decision pretty quickly. Give me enough time and I'll agonise over it, but if it's needed to be made quick, I can make it quick and move on. And I thought that was one of my strengths in that time. And then she said to me, and where was God in those decisions? Ouch. Ow, that hurt. I stopped in that meeting. And in the week since then, I've been reflecting on that question, and it can't leave my head. And I particularly reflected on it when I read this reading. Where is God in those decisions for me? I've been like the rich, foolish man. I make the decisions. Perhaps I need to be wealthier towards God in those moments. But here's the thing. Part of my reflection has been, I don't think I'm alone here. You may feel like this rich man with regard to wealth. You may not. You may be like me and squeeze God out of decision making. You may not. I wonder if all of us can be like this rich man. How rich are we toward God? Because I suspect all of us have an area of life, whatever it is, where we stop God from entering. I don't know, maybe for you it is money like this guy. Maybe it is decision making in a crunch like me. Maybe it's how you use your leisure time. Maybe it is in the conversations you have with other people, family and friends. Whatever it is, that's your work to do and reflect on and think about. I would suggest don't be caught by surprise like this man in our parable today. Be wealthy toward God. Invite God into those moments, because one of the things my professional supervisor said to me was, maybe you need to learn to look for God in those moments, because my hunch is God's already there. Fair enough. And I know, thinking about it for a week, it's going to take some work, because this is not going to be an easy thing to change. Working through this part of my life and asking God to be there in it. And I suspect that's true for all of us. Whatever the area of your life is that you might want to keep God out of, it will be difficult to bring God into that. But it will be rewarding. It will be the way we say we are wealthy toward God. When we pick that area of our life that we've held God at a distance in, but now start to invite God into. That's how we will be wealthy toward God. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.